Welcome to Decorating Tips and Tricks, the podcast. I'm Anita Joyce with Kelly Wilkness, and this is episode 287, The Making of a Romantic Home. As always, the show notes can be found at decoratingtipsandtricks.com/287 for this episode.
So,
Well,
romance.
I was thinking about this topic, and I had recently written an article for the Round Top Register about adding romance to your home. And so it's really on the top of my brain. And as I was writing it, I began to realize that I've had this romantic streak in me since I was about 15. Because I want
Do tell.
I want to point out the fact that it's not really about just romance and love, but it's about this beautiful lifestyle full of elegance and gracefulness.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Well, and for me, when I was younger, I was trying to add the 1800s, 1850s, whatever. I was trying to add that feeling to my life. And, I pictured people like riding off, into the sunset on their horse. And I lived in the suburbs. I knew my parents were not getting me a horse. I knew that one was out of the question.
Right.
So
Fabio wouldn't pull up on a white stallion.
No,
this off
exactly. So I knew that
carrying
wasn't
a
happening.
Bergère chair. Or something.
Yes, exactly, darling.
So the making of a romantic home. I think sometimes people mistake, in my mind, romance in your decor with complete and utter femininity. Too much preciousness, too much sweetness. Like, I don't think that is necessarily romantic. I know there is a certain look, and I don't want to classify it all as shabby chic because I don't think all of shabby chic is too precious and too feminine. But there is a line that can be drawn in the sand, if you will, or in the lace, if you're doing that kind of look where you kind of got the romantic shabby thing going on and you've got the romance, but then you tip too far into the precious department.
Well,
and that's when I think that whole look, it just loses interest for me.
Well, you don't want it to look like that the sugar plum fairy lives there.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So I think you can overdo. So I think you have to have some restraint. But what we're really talking about is adding this elegance and maybe a little bit of femininity to the room. But for example, I don't really have a lot of floral fabrics in my house. Because it was a little too, I think at one point, Kevin was like, this is a little too feminine for me. So I'm like, okay, fine. I appreciated that. And he lives in the house too. So I found that was really kind of his hot point, that he really didn't want the floral fabric. So I avoid those, and I can kind of sneak in French furniture, and he's fine with it without the floral fabric. So,
well, yes, because the French furniture has an elegance. So you have to remember to keep the elegance. And it doesn't even have to be French furniture or gilded furniture. We tend to like that. I think if anyone looked at photos of our house, it would be pretty good. You are more feminine in a sense in your decorating than I am. Would you agree?
Oh, yes. But here's the thing too, because I do have some Florentine tables. One is fabulous, but one goes a long way. I had two in one room, and it was too much gold, too much foof for the room. So I had to take it out. So, I think you do have to gauge this. And really, it's not just the feminine things, but it's just this elegance, I think.
Right. So I think I have a romantic style. I was thinking about that when we were talking about, but it's not necessarily overtly feminine.
Right.
And so, but I think of romantic, it's almost like I visualize, the rumpled linen sheets or the crushed velvet, the sumptuousness of it, kind of like tousled hair that just looks really great, as opposed to, just coiffed out of the beauty salon hair. I think the tousled is where you get the romance. So if you can translate that into your decor, I think that's a way to add romance without being overtly feminine or overtly romantic. Because people say,
so maybe a little patina then.
Right. A little patina, really great fabrics, layering, textures, soft colors, time-worn finishes, the gold finishes of the Florentine that we love. Yeah. And in these littler touches, but it doesn't have to be, for me, it doesn't have to be yards of cabbage roses, and it doesn't have to be the color pink.
Right. Right. Exactly. And linen and velvet, I think, are fabulously romantic fabrics, and the solids just work so well. And so that kind of does have some balance there, that it's not too over the top feminine.
Right. So I think, when you think of a romantic home, lots of times people tend to go to that one particular look. But romance is such a wonderful element to bring into any home. I mean, if you have a very strict arts and crafts home, and that's your look, romance may not fit into there, but you may be able to bring in, romantic touches with actual antiques from that period and things like that. There are some looks that, or if you're super mid-century, there's not a lot of romance in there. But if you're not in a defined style like that, you can add romance in ways that are not so obvious, but it gives this sense to your home, this like lovely, luxuriously lived in a sense, feel. Just, it like the whole European thing. Like, I would harken back to when we talked about, French decor and how they don't really decorate. It's just this sort of natural way of living, which is very romantic in its core. Mm-hmm. Don't you think?
Oh, yeah. And the thing, one of the things I think you touched on it a little bit there is to add the vintage or the antique or both to your house. I think that's one of the best ways to add some romance to your house. You want this kind of faded elegance, a feeling of the past. I think all of that lends itself well to some elegance and to some romance. Another thing I think that really is a part of the romantic look are some soft lines, some curves. So, and I think that's why the French things look so well with the romantic look, is because all the curved lines. But anything kind of curved, and which you again pointed out so well, if you've got an arts or crafts home, if you have a home that has a lot of straight lines, that's not a soft look, and it is harder to make that look romantic. But if you have curved lines, the curved lines really represent kind of a softer romantic look in a room.
Oh, that's a really good point. Because that's, again, something really subtle that people might not think about. It's just, the curve of a line, the arch of a top of a mirror, the shape of the back of the chair, things like that can subtly add romance. And it's not this like banging you on the head, some cute little figurine or, something in a shape of a heart. You don't need to go there. I would say, if you're going down the freeway and and the signs are all pointing towards cute and too precious, just take the exit, go away from that. Don't do that, because that is not really the look I think that you're going for when you want to add this elegant romance.
So don't buy a lot of little cupids. Is that what you're saying?
Well, there's one day for that. I guess you could do that. Or, but yeah, I wouldn't want to live with that. I mean, the cherubs, we've seen them there, but if they're like cast in resin and you got them at Home Goods 15 years ago, let them fly away. But if it's the real deal and it's, made of stone and it's carved in a piece of furniture or something like that, then, that's fine. But
yeah, I have my putty, that I like. Yeah.
Your putty?
It's beautiful. One of those large angels.
Oh, yeah.
It's fairly new. It's beautiful.
Right.
It's kind of based on the kind you would see in an old church.
Right. And did you name it Putty?
Well, no, that's what those are called.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, learn something new every day. Like Putti.
TTI.
Oh, and what does that stand for?
I will find out for you, but
let's find out. That's interesting. I was like, who's Putty? Is that the guy you met on the train?
You've been watching Seinfeld too much, girlfriend.
Oh my gosh. So, okay. Yeah, I think that if you stay with the sumptuous fabrics and you add some time-worn finishes, you layer in different fabrics and textures, I think that that's going to add a lot of romance. And, you can add it in differing degrees to different rooms in your house. You might feel, obviously, you could add a little bit more romance to your bedroom, but maybe not just for the obvious reasons. You don't have to be sharing your bedroom with a romantic partner to add romance to the bedroom. It's just a more private room that you can do a little bit more with, as far as layering the bed with different pillows and different textures and things like that. You might not want as much of a romantic feel in your living room or something. It might be sort of a cleaner romantic look, more whites and less layering, but still these little touches here and there, like you're saying, the Florentine tables or just like a gilded mirror or something like that. Just adding these little touches can go a long way if that's something that you're interested in adding to your home. We're just giving you suggestions on ways that you can incorporate that feel. It's not even really like a look or a style in a sense, because I think when it's a look or a style, you're going hog wild, and then you're in danger of being too precious. So it's these elements that you're adding.
Okay, so I looked up Putty while you were talking, but I was listening too.
I know you were. I'm sure.
Of course, darling. So apparently it is pronounced putti.
Okay.
Italian, a representation of a cherubic infant, often shown winged.
Oh.
And the origin is 1635 to 45, Italian, literally a boy.
Wow. Okay.
So yes, I wasn't pronouncing it quite properly, but there you go.
That's okay. Very
yes, but I agree with what you're saying. Romantic, it's not really a specific style like country French or mid-century modern. It's really kind of some things that you can add to your home. And I think it has a very broad, it refers to a lot of things. It's not a specific thing, but it's like a specific style. But there's ways to add these elements, and I think they can be added to almost any room. And I mean, I think also of adding some softness to a room, like maybe one of the things you just need to do to add some romance to a room is to add some pillows to a room, or a nice throw, add some softness. To me, it just kind of looks like a place that would be an elegant place to sit. I mean, I think of candlelight as being something that's very conducive. I mean, anything that, you might want to, and I don't really even think about it as romantic love so much as just this environment that you're creating.
Yeah. That's the other thing. It shouldn't be necessarily associated with dinner for two, romance, Valentine's, hearts and flowers, walking down the aisle type of romance. And it shouldn't be equated only with feminine colors or feminine touches. I think romance it's almost amorphous. So you kind of just, it when you see it, kind of feel like it can just be the way the light comes through the window, and maybe you have this beautiful linen fabric or somewhere like a gossamer type of fabric where the light can come through. And it's just a beautiful way the light comes through. And maybe you just have one flower in a simple little vase or something like that. That can just be so romantic, just lovely.
Yeah. I mean, and I think too of pampering yourself, soft, sumptuous towels by your tub. Maybe you do have some candles in there. It's beautiful music in your home, fresh flowers, a beautiful chandelier. All of those things just kind of create this beautiful elegance, and it really can be, like we're saying, we kind of like it maybe a little more quiet elegance than something that screams at you. So we're not really talking about lots of pinks and flouncy ruffles, but I do like a ruffle.
Yeah.
So I'm not anti-ruffle at all.
Oh, no. And you don't have to be anti-ruffle. I'm just saying that that is not a necessary element. Like, oh, I want a romantic home. Okay, well, you got to use pink. You got to have ruffles. You're going to have a bunch of cherubs, and you better get some lace, somewhere in there. I'm just thinking off the top of my head some things that would be overtly thought of as romantic. Like maybe what somebody who was 15 and boarding that train would think of as romantic, right? But that's not really what it is. In fact, there can be very romantic rooms that have very little in them. It's the way the few things are put together and the feeling of the room. So, like we say so many times, less is more. If maybe take out something if you're going for this look or you're going for any look, and you don't feel like you're there, take some stuff out and see how it feels at that point. And then maybe you add back in something simple like a velvet pillow or a linen drape panel or a vase of flowers. Something that just give the room some space to breathe. And then make your judgment.
Yeah. I mean, I like to look up on Pinterest like a Paris loft or a Paris apartment. It's always fun to see those, and you might get some ideas there. And the interesting thing about these Parisian apartments is that often they mix contemporary furniture with an old Louis XV chair. So there's a real mix of styles there, but it's usually comes together beautifully. And even if you have a contemporary home, a lot of times these elements will mix in quite nicely.
Oh, yeah, that's a beautiful look. And that doesn't make it unromantic because you've got something in there like an Ames chair or a ghost chair or something that is not specifically romantic. Again, it's this sense that you're evoking. And just like anything, like you can just go over the top, but it just seems that really easy to go over the top in that romantic look. Like, and that I think is dated as well. Would you agree?
Over the top. But I also want to say that we really do believe in individual taste and individual style. So I think there's I like to provide leeway depending on what the person's personality is, because I know
I don't like to give anyone any leeway ever. Of course. Right. And we I totally agree with you. And we say this all the time. Like, it is your house and it's your thing. It's just if you're feeling like, I don't like what I've got going on, or, I would like to add some romance. We're just giving you suggestions today on, what that could look like.
Right. So, yeah, I think, with so many things, it can definitely be overdone. And if it's overdone, it starts feeling very sugary and
it makes your teeth hurt.
Where he can't even stay because he's so uncomfortable.
Right.
Yeah, that would be over the top.
Don't you just love a great recommendation from a friend? Well, we're delighted to be recommending these companies and their wonderful products to you today. And let them know your friends at DTT sent you. Green Chef is a delicious delight any time of year, but especially during the holidays. What a wonderful vision to behold as the Green Chef boxes on your doorstep. Green Chef is the #1 meal kit for eating well. And it makes eating well so easy with plans to fit every lifestyle, whether you're keto, paleo, vegan, vegetarian, gluten-free, or just looking to eat a more balanced diet. So let Green Chef take the work out of eating clean this holiday season. And if you've got guests coming, shop Green Bundles. They're now available at the Green Market. It's your one-stop shop for nutritious grab-and-go breakfasts, including vegan options, brunch kits, wholesome lunches, ready-to-eat snacks, veggie sides, and more. You can feel your best this December and do your best with Green Chef because they offset 100% of the delivery emissions as well as 100% of the plastic in every box. Go to greenchef.com/60DTT and use the code 60DTT and get 60% off plus 20% off your next 2 months. greenchef.com/60DTT and use the code 60DTT to get 60% off plus 20% off your next 2 months. BritBox just keeps getting better. The new Archie is amazing. And it's not the comics. It's about Cary Grant. Archie is the brand new limited series starring Jason Isaacs as Archie Leach, the man who became Cary Grant. From the award-winning screenwriter of Philomena, Archie tells Grant's born in Britain, made in Hollywood story, the dramatic grit to glamour transformation that led him to become one of the most famous people in the world. You are going to absolutely love the acting, but also the styling, the outfits, the scenery. It's the first time his story has been told in collaboration with his daughter Jennifer Grant and ex-wife Diane Cannon. The performances from Jason Isaacs and the rest of the cast are amazing, and it's only available on BritBox. So sign up for BritBox today to stream Archie and other fan favorites from any device. And we have a special limited time offer for our U.S. and Canadian listeners. Get 50% off, yes, that's 50% off your first month when you sign up for a monthly plan. But only if you go to BritBox.com and use our promotion code DTT at checkout. You're going to love Archie. So head over right now and get 50% off your first month of BritBox. Use the promotion code DTT at BritBox.com. I want to remind you that we are available for design consults. We take on your design dilemmas, questions, renovations, any project you want to talk about, any room, any space. We are here for you. And we really do enjoy doing these. And I think we've helped people a lot. So if you want to sign up for a consult, head to the link in the show notes. It's decoratingtipsandtricks.com/consult. We hope to talk to you soon.
This house that I'm in now is probably my most romantic iteration.
Well, it's Victorian.
Home decor.
And if
Right.
the Victorians knew anything, they knew how to add details. And I think they were pretty romantic.
Yes, I guess. I think so. And there were so many things that you could add that I actually stripped away so much. I mean, I remember when we were just getting ready to do the house and people, oh, you bought a Victorian. What colors are you going to paint it? I'm like, white. They're like, oh, oh really? So, that's me sort of, stripping away at a lot of the froof, but still sort of boil down to where I like to have the level of romance that I like. I still think there's a lot of romance in my house, and I really love it mixed with more simple lines and the limited color palette. I think that works really well because if I had gone hog wild Victorian and painted it 4 colors on the outside and I just had layers of different patterns and fabrics everywhere, well, that wouldn't feel good to me. And to me, that would feel like I was kind of living in a Victorian museum. And that's not how we wanted to live.
No. You've got to update everything. You've got to do an updated version. You don't want to be stuck in some previous style without any flexibility to add some modern sensibilities to the room.
Well put.
So, you said limited color palette, which reminded me of something. I wanted to mention a review of our podcast. Can I do that now?
Sure.
Okay. Well, we don't normally mention reviews on the podcast, but I thought this was a fun one. She says, I can't wait to catch up. And she said she was looking for decorating podcasts and she found ours. And after listening to it, I'm paraphrasing, but she said she couldn't wait to start from the beginning. So she's on the 60th episode. So I don't know when she's going to listen to this one, if she's starting at 60, because we're way past
Oh yeah.
that.
And there's so many people that do that. They say like, they're kind of like me, like a little OCD-ish, I guess. Like, you have to start from the beginning. Like, I just have to start from the beginning. I can't just start willy-nilly in the middle. But just to let people know in case they're not getting it, these are reviews. Anita's referencing a review that we got on iTunes. So a lot of you have been so kind to leave reviews on iTunes. And, we personally love to read them. But it also helps the podcast get seen on iTunes. So if you haven't left a review and you feel like
or
you
even
might want to
rated
do
it,
that,
you can rate it 1 to 5 stars.
Yeah.
Hopefully 5, but
so anyway, I haven't heard this review. I hope it's good.
yeah, it just came today. Yeah, so that's what she said. And she said that she wanted to start from the beginning because she said there were some inside jokes and previous anecdote references. Well, we try not to have inside jokes because we want to make sure that, if you're just tuning in for your first time, that it makes sense and you don't feel left out. So we want you, if this is the first time you're listening, we want you to feel welcome and not feel like there's some special handshake that you don't know. This is it. But anyway, what I wanted to mention is that she said she does not have the same decorating sensibility as we do. She does not use a limited color palette, but she still learns a lot. And I wanted to bring that up because I think that's fabulous. And we definitely do preach limited color palette. One of the reasons is because it's so much easier to have a pulled together looking room if you do use a limited color palette. There are many rooms I have seen that have been very well done that do not have a limited color palette, that are simply stunning and beautiful. It definitely can be done. I think the thing I want to point out about that is that it is harder to pull off. And that's why we shy away from suggesting that. But, so I just wanted to bring up, even if you don't we really focus on our particular approach to decorating. Kelly and I have a very similar approach, and we're trying to provide ideas and tips that we are tried and true that we know are going to work. And that's why we say that. But, if you have a different opinion, I hope you'll stick around because we do talk about a lot of different topics. And if you disagree or agree, we'd love to hear from you because I think this all adds to the conversation. And I love that she mentioned that she has a little different view on this. And if you're looking in the iTunes, this is the review by ALK49.
Yeah, they don't have names. I wish they did so we could know. And thank everyone for taking the time. Yeah, and we've heard that before that, firstly, when we started the idea for the podcast, we started formulating in our brains. We're like, wow, it's such a visual thing. I wonder how it will translate to podcasting because you can't see it. But we found, we think, and we've heard through feedback that it actually translates really well because in this instance, people can take the tips and the ideas and they can apply it to their particular style. But if you saw an image, you'd be like, oh, I don't have a French chair like that. Gosh, I don't have a mirror like that. Like, how am I
my tray doesn't look like that.
Right.
Right. But what we're saying about how to use the tray works, whatever tray you have.
Exactly.
So I want you to see your tray rather than mine. And of course, if you want to see our trays, go to our blog, Cedar Hill Farmhouse, My Soulful Home.
Right.
We've got plenty of pictures of these, and often we do link to our blogs in the show notes. So, you can see pictures of what we're talking about if you go to our blogs. But, we also want you to see what, picture your items and how they would work in your home. And I think it does work for that reason. And so much of decorating you can do. It's been fascinating to me how much we can communicate without seeing the same images.
Oh, yeah. No, it's great. And here's something too, which has been so fabulous. Remember when I described the silver straw thing that I purchased at that fabulous Trinkets and Treasures sale? Well, again, there was no photo of it on my blog or on social media. Anyway, I just described it. And if you didn't hear that episode, it's a silver, long, thin, hollow tube, which appears to be a straw. And at the end, there's a little square strainer that opens up almost like a locket. And I thought that,
so it looks a little bit like a T-ball in a way.
Kind of, but it's smaller. So you think to yourself, like, what could go in there? So very interesting. I had no idea it was this crazed Trinkets and Treasure sale where I was just like chucking stuff in my bags. And it was a half price day. I was not stopping to do my, research on my phone or ask anybody. The lady I purchased it from she's like, it's beautiful, but I have no idea what it is. I'm like, throw it in the bag. Let's get it. So I threw it out during one of the podcasts and we got several responses. And we have two people who for sure knew what it was. So Cassie C and Kathleen M both wrote in very interesting emails and taught me something for sure. It is a straw for drinking mate or mate, a drink common in Argentina. The filter at the bottom prevents the mate leaves from coming up or the mate leaves from coming up. So it's not that you put anything in the side, the locket, where the strainer is. It's actually to prevent the things from coming in. And it's very interesting because I guess in Argentina and South America and even into Mexico and different countries, this is it's kind of, there's a ritual that kind of goes on with drinking this. It's very communal, and they make the brew in this gourd that it kind of gets passed around, and it's just very hospitable to offer someone this. And it is like kind of like the national drink.
Does everyone
of
drink
Argentina.
out of the same gourd?
I didn't want to tell you that historically people drink out the same gourd and straw. Like, not everybody has their own straw.
And I don't share drinks with Kevin, and I did a few days ago. And sure enough, now he's got the flu. I'm like,
no,
what's the
stay
deal?
away from him. Oh my God.
I know.
Well, maybe you gave him the flu. There you go.
I don't have it.
So interesting. So thank you so much. And, there were a few other people that ventured guesses, Joyce and a couple of the ladies. Thank you so much. It was fun to have this little mystery and everybody, so many people to join in on it. But, Cassie and Kathleen nailed it. I was like, oh, that's exactly. And actually, they even sent me pictures of it. And it's exactly a replica of what I have. But mine.
Y'all are smart.
Yeah, but mine is very ornate. So I wonder, this goes back hundreds of years that they're doing this. So maybe the one that I got is very old. I don't know. But
maybe
they have modern ones now too. And actually, when I Googled it further, it's yerba mate is a drink. And I've actually seen the label. Like, I think it's becoming one of those.
I've seen that.
In the yellow can.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I think it's coming back into popularity, maybe because it has all these sort of
now I'm
wonderful
going to have
properties.
to try it out of my own can
Out of your own can. Yeah.
I cannot share it in a gourd. I'm sorry. But.
No. So yeah, it's very, very interesting. I would have never known any of that. So thank you so much. That was really a treat to receive those emails.
Inevitably, with the new year come wellness goals. One very effective and easy to reach goal is to add dose to your wellness regime. Dose is expertly formulated organic wellness shots that support your liver in one delicious drink. Formulated with ingredients clinically shown to support liver health, potent turmeric, milk thistle, and ginger. There's 0 sugar and 0 calories. Did you know that your liver performs over 500 special functions? Since I learned all that my liver is doing, I started with Dose to support all those vital functions. I take a shot of refreshing Dose 2 times per week to combat everyday toxins from food, meds, alcohol, and unhealthy air. Since starting with Dose about a month ago, I am definitely feeling an overall improvement in my health. So if you want to give Dose a shot and invest in your health like I have, Dose is offering DTT listeners 15% off your first order, plus an additional 15% off if you subscribe for a monthly delivery. That's 30% off your first order. So go to dosedaily.co/DTT and use the code DTT. That's dosedaily.co.co/DTT and use the code DTT. Pesto pork chops over Parmesan polenta. Not that easy to say, but oh so easy to make with Green Chef. Green Chef is the #1 meal kit company for eating well, and we have such a great deal for you. You're going to save $250. Listen on for the details on that. Green Chef makes eating well easy for any lifestyle, whether you're keto, paleo, vegan, vegetarian, gluten-free, or just looking to eat more balanced meals. We're getting into the busy holiday season, so it's a perfect time to have Green Chef help you out. Let Green Chef take the work out of eating clean this holiday season with their chef-crafted, nutritionist-approved recipes featuring fresh ingredients and nothing artificial. And you know what? You don't have to lose track of your healthy eating habits during the holidays. Every Green Chef customer gets a free session with their registered dietitians who will walk you through how to make clean eating work for you. So sign up for your free session and start on the road towards better health today. And that deal I want to tell you about, visit greenchef.com/DTT250 and use the code DTT250 for $250 off your order.
So that's greenchef.com/DTT250 and use the code DTT250 for $250 off your order.
And one other thing that is a super treat that we wanted to mention, it is, what day is it today? And, everybody's going to be hearing this for the first time on December 10th. So there is still time. We have offered a bespoke vintage Christmas box, and a whole bunch of people have taken us up on it, but I do have enough for just like maybe 2 or 3 more boxes because I've been buying and collecting all this great vintage Christmas stuff. So if you're interested in that, head over to bespokedecor.store and nab yourself one of the last boxes, and I'll get them out right away.
Mm-hmm.
So
and it's like the mystery boxes we did for Round Top, and
the feedback on those is pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, well, and I have to, my kudos to Kelly. She was in charge of those boxes and did an amazing job. I've seen all these wonderful emails with people that were very happy with those. So
yeah, and it's so much fun to put them together. So it's actually a treat for me to do it. So so if you want to, I would do it real soon because I want you to be able to get it in time for Christmas to decorate with it or enjoy what's in there. Fun today. Adding romance. I mean, why not? And I think we gave you some good ideas on, how we see romance and how we feel that you can translate it into your home. And and if you haven't left us a review on iTunes, that would be so kind of you if you don't mind to do that. It doesn't take too long. So you head over to the, iTunes on your computer or on your phone, and it's easy enough to pop in there and do that. Thanks for visiting with us. Remember, we're here to inspire you to create a beautiful home. Until next time.
Hey, everybody, we want to thank you so much for listening to Decorating Tips and Tricks. And we want to make it even easier for you to listen. And it's easier if you subscribe. You just click the subscribe button on our website, www.decoratingtipsandtricks.com, or you can subscribe through Apple Podcast or any of your favorite podcast listeners. So until next time.